Hey guys, this is going to be a very quick and beginner-friendly Restoration Druid raiding guide, okay? Let's jump straight into this, looking at, first and foremost, the stat priority we're going to be using. So have a look at the stats we've got, intellect obviously being our main stat, and then we have crit, haste, mastery, and versatility. Critical strike has a chance to double how much healing we actually do on our spells, and we mostly deal in hots or heal over times as a Restoration Druid, and therefore my next one, Haste, is going to be my favourite. This is actually going to decrease how quick, or decrease how fast? Increase how fast we cast our spells. And it's also going to add extra ticks to our hots or hot heal over times. A tick, if I use Rejuvenation here, it says here that it heals the target over 17 seconds. So let's say that it heals, as an example, 17 times over 17 seconds. If we had a ton more haste, it might actually heal every 0.5 seconds rather than every second, meaning we could get 34 heals in that 17 seconds, for example. It's not going to be quite that extreme, but that is how haste works. It will also reduce the global cooldown on our spells. So when I cast a spell, you see it goes like a little clock face. It's also going to reduce how slowly, so it's going to speed up how quickly that goes round until we can do our next spell. Haste also does that. And because us as a Restoration Druid are using tons and tons of heal over times very quickly, haste is really, really important, because unlike other classes who may use one big spell every now and then, we are really firing them out like a machine gun. Our mastery is also tying into that with our hots. Your healing is increased by X amount more for the more mastery we have for every heal over time effect that is on the target from us, the Restoration Druid. Meaning, if I put Rejuvenation on myself, I'm now going to receive 7.7% more healing. If I add Life Bloom on, suddenly that's 14. If I add Regrowth, suddenly it's 21. And it goes up like that. The more hots we have on our target, the more healing those hots will actually do. The last stat is Versatility. That is going to increase damage and healing done and also decrease damage taken. So what order do we actually want these in? Well, first and foremost, you always want more item level, meaning we're going to get more intellect, which increases how much healing our spells do. Of course, item level is always going to be the best. After that, it's going to be haste, then it's going to be mastery, then versatility, and then crit. However, you can simulate your character and do other things like that if you want to get, more down into the granular detail of it. Moving on to how we're actually going to heal. Up here, we have our kind of priority list. Left being the top priority, right being the sort of lower priority. And then this bottom bar is something called a ramp. As a Restoration Druid, we will be ramping up our healing in raiding. What that means is, imagine the boss is about to, in 10 seconds, do a huge catastrophic amount of damage. Well, we can add all of our heal over times to the target over that 10 seconds before the damage hits. So that when the damage hits after the 10 seconds, after the ramp, if you will, the huge amount of damage comes in, and we're doing well because we've already got out as many hots or heal over times on our targets as possible, meaning when the damage comes in, they're already being healed by us. Number 1, that is Efflorescence. We can put this anywhere, targetable, and it'll heal everyone inside the area. We want to use this at all times, and what I would say is to keep it maybe in the melee or wherever people are grouped up, so that we can get as many people inside of it as possible. Then we have Life Bloom. Heals the target over 15 seconds, and when it expires, they're instantly healed as well. You can only have this on one person at a time. Generally, I would just put this on the tank. You want to keep your uptime on this spell at as close to 100% as possible on whoever you're putting it on, generally the tank. We've then got Regrowth, heals a friendly target instantly. Well, after the cast time, it'll then heal them for an instant amount, but it will also put a hot on them over 18 seconds. Then we have Swift Mend. This consumes a Regrowth, a Wild Growth, which is down here. And in fact, I actually want to put this in here actually. Missed that out. A wild growth or a rejuvenation, which is this one, to heal an ally for a large amount. And then it will also heal them over a few seconds. So let's say I've got a rejuvenation on myself, and you can see it here or here. When I then use Swift Mend, can you see it's gone? It has actually absorbed the regrowth on me. Now, there's still this icon here, but that's actually from something else, or works differently at least. But as you can see here, I put a rejuvenation on myself, and then again, I'm consuming something to actually do more healing. Now, we're going to come back to this one because it's really interesting. As soon as you use a Swift Mend, you want to then use Wild Growth. And that is for a very specific reason. If we look at this talent here, Soul of the Forest, Swift Mend increases the healing of your next regrowth or rejuvenation or your next wild growth by 50%. And because this is a raid build, we want to use wild growth because that is a multi-target heal. So basically, we have either a regrowth or a rejuvenation, etc. on our target. We consume it with Swift Mend. And then as soon as we do actually consume it, we're then going to be able to do 50% more healing with our next wild growth. So you consume the Swift Mend, and then you use Wild Growth, and it'll do 50% more healing. So what does Wild Growth do? It heals up to 6 injured allies near the target over 7 seconds. Healing starts high and declines over time. Rejuvenation is a very small hot or smaller. This is a kind of a filler spell, and you can have 2 on the target at once, and that's these 2 icons on my Voodoo here. Voodoo is the healing add-on I'm choosing to use. On my Patreon, I do actually have guides on how to use that and setups for it, etc. And I do actually include my entire UI, excluding obviously these huge bars. These are just for the tutorial. But my entire UI is actually available through Patreon as well, just FYI, in case you want it. Or you just want to support me. Then we have Grove Guardians. These are basically going to heal your targets passively. Summons Treants, which will immediately cast Swift Mend, again this spell, on your target. And they will also cast Nourish on the target, which is another heal that only they're going to be doing at the moment, periodically healing them as well. And you can have 3 charges of these. Then we've got Nature's Swiftness. It's on a 1-minute recharge, but we do have 2 stacks of it. Your next regrowth will be free, instant, and heals for an additional amount. So if you want to do a big single target heal, we can go Nature's Swiftness and then get an instant regrowth to do a double amount for free and instantly. Cool. Let's just go through those again, as that's the general priority. Keep Efflorescence up at all time, generally where people are standing, so you can get as many people grouped up as possible. Keep Life Bloom up on the person who's taking the most damage, generally the tank. Use your regrowth if you have a proc on it, and that is actually called Omen of Clarity. Now, that's actually when you see it with this little ribbon around it, like it is now. So what that actually is this here. In fact, I'm going to show you am I going to show you in here? It's pretty easier. Here we go. Yes. Your healing over time from Life Bloom has a chance to cause a clear casting state, making your next regrowth cost no mana. And that's why I said keep Life Bloom up 100% of the time, because as that's passively healing the tank or whoever you have it on, you're going to get chances to get a free regrowth. So you can see here, again, it's got a 4% chance to make your next regrowth cost no mana. So whenever you see that ribbon come up around your regrowth, that means it's going to be free, okay? And that is procced from your Life Bloom. So whenever you see it proc, use it here. If it's not procced, move on. We're going to use Swift Mend and then immediately using Wild Growth to get, multiple people healed for an additional amount. And what you're going to see here is, oh, I just used Swift Mend and I've turned into the Tree of Life. Well, yes, that is true. And that is this talent here, Reforestation. Every 4 casts, sorry, they've changed it very recently. Every 4 casts of Swift Mend grants you Incarnation Tree of Life for 10 seconds. So every 4th cast of your Swift Mend, which is this one, every 4th time will then grant you Tree of Life. We're going to go through that in a bit more detail shortly. So again, Swift Mend and then immediately into a Wild Growth, because it's going to do more healing on the targets. If the damage is coming in the next 15 seconds, we can start putting out Rejuvenations. Or if we're on the move, you can use Rejuvenations because they're instant cast. It's very good for that as well. And I'm going to cover this in the ramping section. What I would say in a raid setting for your Grove Guardians is pool them. So basically, keep all 3 charges and then use them all with your cooldowns when that huge damage comes in. If you know that it's not coming in for a while and you've got enough time, then do use one, as they are only on a 20-second recharge. So you'll kind of get used to the fights that you're doing in the raid. And therefore, I would say, don't cap them on charges if you've got enough time, but also if you know damage is coming in within the next sort of 20-30 seconds, big damage, then what I would do is probably save all 3 charges for that big, insane damage period. And then again, use Nature's Swiftness to get some good single target healing with your next regrowth. Okay, cool. Now let's go through the ramp. What we're going to be doing here is basically, we know that the damage is coming in about the next 15 seconds. And this is the order in which we're going to do it. First things first, let's go into Incarnation Tree of Life. Shapeshifts you into the Tree of Life, increasing healing done, increases armor, and granting protection from polymorph, etc. And you can see that the functionality of your rejuvenation, wild growth, and regrowth are enhanced. If I hover over the spells, can you see here under regrowth in green writing, it says it's instant? When you're in Tree of Life, your regrowth is instant. Your wild growth heals 2 additional targets, and we're still going to get the benefit by using it after a swift mend to mean it heals for more on those 2 targets as well. Our rejuvenation's healing is increased, and the mana cost is also increased. Remember, we can have 2 on each target. So when we're in Tree of Life, it's going to enhance those 3 spells. So first things first, go into Incarnation Tree of Life. Start pumping out as many rejuvenations as you possibly can. Then we're going to Swift Mend, when we're going to Wild Growth, and then by that time we've got a ton of heal over times out, so we use our Flourish. This is on a 1-minute cooldown, and it's going to extend the duration of all of our heal over time effects on friendly targets nearby, and increases how quickly our heals heal. So remember that Life Bloom would already be up, because this is up at all times. So we're going to go into our big daddy, Tree of Life, get a load of rejuvenations out, and then just before the damage is going to come in, Swift Mend, Wild Growth, boom, extend those spells and all the hots you've put out with your Flourish. Then we can put out some regrowths, etc. We've also got this big spell, Tranquility, which will heal all allies for 1,000,000 over 7 seconds. Each heal heals the target for another amount over 8 seconds, and that will stack. Now, what I want to make you remember, what I want to bring your kind of cast your eyes back to is our mastery. Remember that our healing is increased for every heal over time we have on our target. And remember that when we're ramping up, we're putting tons of heal over times on them. Okay? When we use our Tranquility, Tranquility's healing will be increased on those targets if they've got more heal over times. So we do our huge ramp, Tree of Life, loads of rejuvenation, Swift Mend into Wild Growth, extend the heals over time with Flourish, and then get some regrowths out on anyone still injured. However, because we're in Tree of Life as well, they're going to be instant cast, so it's actually quite good. And then, boom, the big damage comes in, and then we can just channel our Tranquility with all those heal over times on them so that the Tranquility is doing more healing. Does that make sense? That is our big ramp for the big damage, okay? And that is really the main way that we're going to be healing as a Resto Druid in raiding. So again, keep Efflorescence up, keep Life Bloom up on the target at all time. Whenever you get some procs, like you have here, on your regrowth, then use it. Consume your heals with Swift Mend and immediately go into a Wild Growth to do more healing with it. Use Rejuvenation when you're on the move and just as a filler, etc. Use Grove Guardians when you go into your ramp or when big damage comes in, or in the middle. It's kind of up to you on Grove Guardians. It really depends. And use Nature's Swiftness to do massive instant healing of regrowth. On your ramp up, go into Incarnation Tree of Life, get as many rejuvenations out as you possibly can, go into Swift Mend, Wild Growth, extend all of the hots with Flourish. You wouldn't do it that quickly because you're trying to get out loads of rejuvenations, of course. And then get out some regrowths if you can, and then go into Tranquility, obviously using your Grove Guardians as well. Few things we don't also want to forget. Mark of the Wild, obviously. Renewal is a great defensive, instantly healing you for some of your maximum health. We've got Innovate, which infuses a healer for basically makes your healing spells free for 8 seconds. What I like to do is use this just before I ramp so that it can actually help with mana, or I might use it near the end of the fight as well. If it's a long fight, you can use it twice. We also have Iron Bark, which is on a 1.2 minute cooldown, where we can reduce the damage of somebody by 20%. What else do we have? Nature's Cure, which is going to get rid of any magic effects that are harmful on your allies as well. Now, we do have a lot of other little bits and bobs, but as this is a beginner guide, I don't want to overwhelm you. So what I would suggest is that you go through your book and just have a look and go, oh yeah, you know, what spells do I have, etc. Oh, actually, one I did mention, Bark Skin. This is like Iron Bark, but for yourself. And Bear Form, which you can go in and out of whenever the hell you like, is also a great defensive too. By increasing your armor by 220%, stamina by 25%, and you can't be polymorphed, which doesn't really often happen in raids anyway. Few other talents I also want to cast your eyes on. Keeper of the Grove, for raiding, is the hero talent we're going to go into. I'm just going to tell you the keystone ones. Each of your Grove Guardians increases your healing done by 5% while active. So again, really good when we're ramping up, etc. And also, Grove Guardians cause your next target heal to create free Dream Petals, healing other people at the same time. I would have a look at all the others and how they work into your talent tree, but do this when you're a bit more comfortable because, again, it could overwhelm you. Few other talents. This is the one where we can apply 2 rejuvenations at once. Tree of Life here. This one's really important. With Incarnation Tree of Life, every 10 seconds you're in it, you will also summon a Grove Guardian passively, which is really, really nice. And the cooldown of Incarnation Tree of Life is reduced when a Grove Guardian fades. And that's including the ones that you actually, use actively, not just passively. Soul of the Forest, we've already spoken about. Grove Guardians, of course. Nourish here is the other choice rather than Grove Guardians, and that's the spell that your Grove Guardians actually cast. To be very clear here, if you choose Nourish, they won't be casting it. That's for you to cast it. The Grove Guardians will cast it if you've chosen them, so don't get confused around that. This one's also important regarding mana. For each rejuvenation you have active, regrowth's cost is reduced and critical effect chance is increased up to a maximum of 96%. So getting a load of rejuvenations out will reduce the cost of regrowth, increase its critical effect chance massively. And that's why, like in our ramp, we use our rejubes before our regrowths, for example. And then one more talent I want to make you aware of, so nearly all of them, is Rampant Growth. Your regrowth, again, its healing over time is actually increased by 50%, which is passive, and it also applies to the target of your Life Bloom. So if you have a Life Bloom on the tank and you regrowth somebody else, the tank will also be healed by that regrowth, just as a little FYI. If you need any more help at all from me, please join my Patreon. It's in the description. I have macros on there. You can get my entire UI. I can help you with voodoo and things like that. And you get a VIP channel in our Discord where you can get loads of extra help from me and things like that. I will help you also review your logs and look at how you can improve and things like that as well. And again, you can get my whole UI, including all profiles for voodoo and healing frames and things like that. Please subscribe, of course, if you like the video. Check out the playlist you now see on screen, as I do every single class, both Mythic Plus and Raiding for beginners.